Hello, it's Jeannie. How are you? I hope you're well. Today's video is another blast to the past, looking at some of the things from my childhood, things that I like to play with and take up my time with. And a lot of my girlfriends did too. So, it's funny. Laura, she and I send each other things from the 70s, just different little video clips and things like that. And we talk about how wonderful that decade was and how special it was to us. I'm a little older than her, I know. I think by, 5 or 6 years, something like that, maybe 7. And, but still, we were in the same age group. And we look back very, very fondly, on those years. As I became a teenager and looking at the things we did with our friends. We didn't have electronics other than like what was that thing? A radio, a little radio or tape cassette thing. Not portable. We didn't have portable cassette tape things until later, but we would play cassettes in our cars, and that was modern. But before that, it was 8-track tapes, and that I thought was just the cutting edge of technology, and it was. But anyway, really fond memories, and I think we all have a decade or an era where we remember and look back with such happiness and joy, and you feel like it was perfect. And today's video is a little bit of a blah, 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 as well as me showing you something. And the blah, blah, blah part is this. When we focus on something special from the past, when we look back and remember the good things about it, it seems to kind of color that whole era. And you don't seem to look at the bad things, I'll say, or the not so great things. So here I pick the 70s as my, ultimate decade, and 60s, the late 60s, mid to late 60s. But there were things in there that happened. And, there's no time that was perfect. There is no person that is perfect. There is no, thing that is absolutely perfect. It's what we choose to look at and what we choose to focus on, right? I mean, I could really try and find some, negative stories to tell about from those times. My mom and dad never fought, which that is a blessing. But I do remember a handful of times that they did, which was why they stand out to me, because they never fought. They got along. They enjoyed each other. They had a good sense of humor. But the times that they did have, their blow-ups, maybe 5 in my childhood that I remember, I look back on with humor, because it's funny to look back at them now. My mom, she couldn't aim her way out of a paper bag. She couldn't aim and hit anything. And one time, my dad made her so mad, and then he started giggling about it. Huge mistake, and I don't know what time of the month it was for her, but something in her flipped, and she picked up a pencil container, pencils and pens. It was probably a mug, a coffee mug, and she threw it at him, and he started laughing. He said, "As long as I stay still, you can't hit me." Oh, she got so mad. She went storming out of the house, and I'm going on a drive. And I can't even remember what the fight was about, something stupid. And we laugh about it. Well, we did later. I think she might remember that because it was such a big event. Some of the history things she doesn't remember anymore. But that was my rearing. So I could focus on these fights and make them bad, and I know some kids did have it bad with fighting parents. I didn't. I could focus on times where I felt alone and like rejected at school, like I didn't fit in, or when I felt gawky and, just not feeling at ease in my own skin. I think we all go through that. But I don't look at those things, those feelings. I look at the overall good feelings. And those are the lenses I look at that era from. And, my parents, I hold up on a pedestal for so many reasons. But again, they weren't perfect. I think they were as close to perfect as parents could be, but they weren't. They were flawed. And although my mom, she is I think God used her as the template for angels, because if anybody was as sweet and calm and kind and good, it was her. In and out. From the time she was a little child, I've talked to her cousins, and they said she's always been that way. So she's about as sweet as a human being can be. And she had me. And then I think of my dad, and I think of that era. And this story came to me. When we think about perfection, and I've been really honest, when I look at magazines with you and show you, I try to tell you, particularly young and influential girls and boys, but what you see in these magazines or nowadays on social media are a lot of filters, and it's not real. It's not real. And young people, I think, try to attain that ideal of what they think they should look like or be like, this perfection, this chase of perfection. Young moms with new babies think they have to be the Betty Crocker, the, June Ward, was it? June Cleaver? Yeah. Anyway, and it isn't attainable. Yeah, you have good days, but you also have really bad days, really crappy days. Any parent can attest to that. But when you hold yourself in comparison of what you see in the media, whether it's online or in a magazine, like the happy, blissful mom, and she has a nice clean floor. It's all sparkly and clean because she used that particular product, cleaning product. Her life is just so happy now. And her toilets sparkle and so on. We tend to want to try to emulate that or think we should be like that. And then we look around our own circumstances and we feel so let down because we're not like that. And so I was thinking about, me. You see these mostly edited videos of my best, me at my best. But some of you know that, I've got a bit of hot Irish blood in me, I've got gentle English blood, and I've got some hot Irish blood. And sometimes it rears its head, especially when I'm tired or stressed or frustrated. And I was thinking about that. You know, you see me with these lights that are so good for my skin. You know, they make me look better than I do in natural light. That's just a fact. And I've got, I told my husband I'm putting on my war paint, you know. I've got my makeup on, so I look good. But I don't look like this all the time. I just don't. And so I want to make real sure, or make it real clear, that I am not this thing to hold up to, you know, on some high pedestal. Yeah, I'm a nice person and I'm fun and, you know, some other things too, but I am very flawed. I promise you. And I was thinking about back in the 70s. I had a cousin. I think she's still alive. I haven't talked to her in a long, long time. Decades. We weren't close. She was quite a bit older than me, maybe 10 years older than me. And she had a boyfriend that she later married. His name was Tony. And Tony, skinny. He wore platform shoes, tight jeans. He had dark hair, kind of like John Travolta in, you know, way back in the Cotter days, you know, Welcome Back Cotter, you know, the hair. And a mustache, big mustache. And they used to come over, and everyone loved being around my dad. They were my dad was a very magnetic person. And so they would come over and visit, have a drink, whatever. And I made myself scarce. I had nothing in common with them. Anyway, Tony said he had a friend or something who was able to get these great deals on these Levi jeans, like below wholesale, because they were going to be discontinued or some story. And do we want any? And he can sell them to us for just, you know, a few, $4 or $5. Sure, why not, you know? And I remember my parents bought some, and he had a bunch in his truck or his car, and I found a pair of these rust-colored corduroy bell-bottom pants. I remember those. They were so cool. And my brother got a couple pair, and we were as happy as clams, because we didn't go out shopping a lot for clothes, and there was no Amazon. So anyway, one time Tony came over, and he had another load of Levi pants. Well, I was in the kitchen, the dining room area, and I kind of remember he made some kind of comment to my dad about, now you know where I really get these, right? My dad was like, no, what? Yeah, there's they knew when some truck came for deliveries, when to go and steal boxes out of that truck, out of the back of this truck that was dropping a shipment to a particular store. And so he was selling these hot jeans, you know, they were stolen. Anyway, my dad blew it. He stood up and he told Tony and my cousin, I won't name her, although if you're related to me, you'll remember who was married to Tony. He told them to get out of the house in no uncertain terms, and he used some really colorful language. And Tony said something really smart-ass to my dad. You didn't do that to my dad, because when he went over the edge with his temper, he he had arms like this. He was one of the strongest men. No one ever beat him arm wrestling. He was a beautiful human being. Yeah, but you didn't want to get him mad. Anyway, Tony popped off with some smart-ass remark. And all I remember is my dad, the big bull of a guy, he got up and he grabbed skinny Tony, who was like maybe 130 pounds, and he picked him up by the scruff of his collar and his pants or bottom of his shirt. And he took him to the front door, kicked open the screen door, and booted Tony down our walkway. Phew! I just remember Tony flying, all 130 pounds of him flying down the walkway, and my cousin was screaming and crying. My mom was just sitting there watching. Anyway, Tony got up and dusted himself off, and he started to say something again out of pride, and my dad started coming toward him. Tony turned around. He saw his life flash before his eyes, and he hightailed it out of there, and they left, and we did not see them again. I don't remember ever seeing them again after that, honestly, and I'm trying to think about things. Nope. And here's what it was, is my dad had that kind of a temper, but he also had something that I was taught was honor and integrity. And he didn't buy stolen goods, and he didn't believe in stealing, lying, cheating, anything like that. And he reacted very strongly, but as a man of honor, he had been, deceived by Tony. And I'll never forget that. That was a real impressionable moment on me. And there weren't many situations like that. My dad was not a violent man, but, he knew how to stand up for something. And you didn't have assault charges in those days for standing up for what was right. Anyway, I remember one time, and I think it was, maybe late junior high, 8th grade, 7th grade, maybe 9th grade, I don't know. I can't remember. I was tired. I hadn't studied for a test. And my dad came by and into my room, and he said, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm fiddling with something." And I said, "You know what? I didn't study. I'm thinking maybe I'll record all the answers and then wear this cassette deck thing in my pocket, run the wires up, and just play the recording and get all the answers." I was so clever, And my dad looked at me with just shock. And he said, "Do you have no honor? Would cheating be okay with you? When you look at yourself in the mirror, are you okay with that person who is a cheater?" I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, so honor and integrity, that was taught to me by my dad. Now, my mom, it was just, she expected it. And she taught it through just who she was, being a kind, gentle, wonderful lady. And you didn't see her get mad very often. So I took more after my dad. And my husband knows now, if I'm stressed, if I'm, tired, if I am overworked, I have too many things going on, and lately that has been the case. A lot of stuff has been going on. Anyway, I snap easily. And what I want you to take away from this is the fact that that's normal for most of us, not my mom. But, She was just naturally good and calm and patient. But that's normal for most of us. Don't put anyone on a pedestal and think they're perfect. And some of you who really know me or have seen, I have a temper. And if I hear something going on right now, like a mower in the middle of my video, how dare they? I might just let fly a whole bunch of curse words that I think I'll edit out later. That's me. That's the real me. These lights go off. I don't wear makeup all the time. I do most days, just my eyebrows and a little bit of blush. But I don't have beautiful lights, that make me look fantastic. I have a temper. I lose it. We're not perfect. And no one you see on social media is. No picture that you see in a magazine is. Okay? They are all normally, regular, normal folks, flawed, and they mess up and they do all kinds of things that you don't see. They have skin problems you don't see. They have hair problems you don't see. They unless they have a staff, they get messy houses too. So, to those who tend, and you know who you are, who tend to look at something and think, I need to be like that, because we all do that sometimes. I think particularly girls, women, young women, we think, I need to buy that to be better looking, have my skin better, my hair better, my this, my that. Okay, great, try a new product, but don't compare yourself to something that isn't real. Okay? It isn't real. Don't compare yourself to a magazine. Don't compare yourself to a person on the internet, on social media. All right? Don't, as an older woman, compare yourself to me and my beautiful skin, my glowy skin. I've got 4 wonderful lights in kind of a soft tone, kind of toned down. Okay? That's the real me. I have wrinkles. I have saggy eyelids. I have a lot of things. So, but I learned integrity and a sense of realness from my dad. Some of that is temper. Some of that, it just goes on and on. So, we forgive ourselves. We accept ourselves as we are. We can always try to be better. That's fine. That's fine. But don't feel bad about who you are or your bad days. Okay? Now, we're going to go back to my perfect era in my mind of the 60s. Possibly the 70s. I have some things to show you, finally. Me and my blah, blah, blah. I have a friend across the golf course. Her name is Joni. I showed her these and her grandkids yesterday. They were up here looking around in my studio. The kids were like, oh, wow, YouTube. So, look at this. These are flatsy dolls. Look at them. And we had so much fun with these. I looked them up online. Now, I remember playing with these in the 60s. And it says they were, I made a couple notes, they came out in 1969 through 1973. And there were 3 sizes. The mini, that were about this tall. The medium, which is this one. And then there was the fashion, which was taller, about like that. And typically they came with a cardboard thing you could stand them on. She still got her shoes. And you can bend them. They're rubber or something, vinyl with. They're bendable. And you could change their clothes. I can't see. There's a little snap. She's got little underpants on, little green underpants. But I'm afraid I'll tear it. It's so old. And you usually got a little brush. And you can brush their hair, which she is sorely in need of. It's tangled. I remember thinking, who has pink hair? Who would ever have pink hair? And now pink hair is quite common. It's so funny. We didn't get toys just because we wanted them. That's not how it worked. You had to save up your allowance, or you got something for your birthday or Christmas. But you didn't just get to go shopping. Not me, in my neighborhood. And I was raised in Eastside San Jose, California. And everyone was a working family. It was very... what is that you have? It was very culturally diverse. A large Mexican population. And she has something in her hair. And I've said this before. I mean, I want to get that out. I mean, I knew which mother was making tortillas on which day. My neighbor, my next door neighbor, who used to be my best friend, Carla, and her sister, Renee, her mom made fresh tortillas on Tuesdays. I knew to go over to their house on Tuesdays, and I'd get a tortilla fresh right off her griddle, and she'd slather some butter on it. Oh, I was a happy girl. There. And then I knew Mrs. Sanchez down the street when she made hers. Hello, it's me. And I'd get a nice fresh tortilla from her. Look how pretty. And we'd put little bows and ribbons or braid their hair. And so my friends, me and let's see, Carla, and there was another little girl named Kimmy. And Kimmy, who was a year or two older than me, she had more of these. I was so jealous. She always had a lot more than I did. Okay, so that one is done. So these are flatsies. They're collectibles now, by the way, especially if you have them like the box they came in. That's rare. And now look at this one in green. Wow, she's in a green suit. And what she has on her back here is like a clip. So you could stand her up on this cardboard thing. And she's got a nice outfit. These little green and black plaid pants and black shoes. Little green jacket. I'll give her a quick brushing. I don't think their hair has been brushed in 50 years. Or more. Sorry, I know I'm hurting you. There we go. There we go. There we go. Neon green hair. There we go. Now she's pretty. So, flat sea dolls. Those are two special things from my childhood in the 60s. Okay, let me show you something else. In this box. This is called a little kettle. Let's see if you can see that. And it's a plastic container all around this tiny little doll in here. And the back of it is a pin. So you could wear it like a brooch. Whoops. That was supposed to be off. That's weird. And, okay. So you could wear them like that. Now, I wonder if I'll take a picture of this and put it right here to see. She's got these big, freakish, dark eyes. But you could open this back and you could take them out. Look it. Can you see that? I can never tell until I go and edit. If you can see this cute little doll. I'll take a picture of this too for you. Some little princess with freakishly black eyes. So you have this, you could put other ones in here and wear them. Now, they also had these in perfume bottles. They were a couple inches bigger, and they had a scent. Those were really neat. They were called Little Kettle, Liddle, Kettle, Kiddle, cologne with a K. And then they had some in soda bottles. Who thought that a little doll had to be in a soda bottle? But they were collectibles if you have those, and especially if you have them in their case. They're worth a lot of money. So that's my little kettle. Okay, something else. Oops, let me put her back in her box. Okay. Something else that we really, really enjoyed as little girls. Can't wait to show you this. Now this is probably more of the 70s. This particular one, I think. I'll look and see. Look at this. Barbie and Ken paper dolls. Let's see if I can see a date. 1970. No. That's when it was registered. This is from 1985, okay? So this is a little older. This is not mine from... In 1985, I wasn't playing with paper dolls. I was playing with real babies. So let me show you these. They're so cool. Okay, so this is just a folder. And inside, here is Barbie, and here is Ken. And so let's put an outfit on Ken, like this. Ooh, look at that. It's a ribbed sweater with a polka dot, great big polka dot scarf, and some striped bell-bottom pants. Probably bought them from Tony. Okay, so you would just put them over and then bend down the tabs. And voila! Ken is fully dressed in a very groovy outfit. Now, he's got some really nice, look at this one. I'll just hold him up. Oops. Look at this outfit. Looks like a leather coat or a suede coat and some herringbone pants. Whoa. Oh, look at this. He's got a safari suit, a little jumper. I was reading about paper dolls, and it was, what does it say? The first produced in the United States was around 1810, and the paper doll's name was Little Fanny. And, oh, wow, look at this. Oh, look at this suit. Little Fanny. And she was very popular. Whoops. Sorry, Ken. Look at that. Oh, but wait. It gets better. Oh, my gosh. I gotta get one of these for my husband. Look at this outfit. Who wears short shorts? Styling. These are great. Okay, look at this. Oh, these are so fun. Look at his pants. Can you see his pants? Anyway. Okay, let me show you some of Barbie's clothes. Wow, Ken, you are mod. That was a word. Okay. All right, Barbie, let's look at. Ooh, I like this dress. Look at that dress. That is pretty. Ooh, she has. Oh, look at this. I love this outfit. And this is what we did. We sat around, me and my friends, my girlfriends, and played paper dolls. Look at that. Let's see. She's got some separates. Here's some tights. Ooh, that's pretty. Let's see what else. That's a leisure suit for Ken. Oh, and she has a matching. Oh, look at, she has a matching blue dress that we could put on her. She's stylish. Living it up in the city. Gotta kiss yourself, so pretty. Okay, look at this. Okay, so here's Ken, and here's Barbie. Keep your clothes on, Ken. There we go. Okay, so that's the Barbie. I'm going to give these to my granddaughter when she's a little older. She's almost 5. So that's, those chubby little fingers aren't as, dexterous. They tear things and accidentally rip things. Oh, wait a little while. But now, when I used to come home from school, I loved watching the Mickey Mouse Club. And it was the original, so they were, probably 10, 12 years old when I was watching them with Annette and Cubby. So there are 2 cutout dolls. Look at this. Wait. Let's see if I can get a thumbnail. What do you think? I never know if there's glare or not. So this has 2 Annette dolls, and they're actually very sturdy. Let's see. They're not flimsy. Now, look at this. I have a whole bunch that are not cut out. Look at these. Look at. Oh, wow. I'm not going to cut any out. It would be cool if none of these were cut out, because that would make it way more valuable. But since a couple are cut out, here is a bathrobe and like a sleeping gown, what do you call it, nightgown. Look at this. So here she is in her nightgown and bathrobe. And let's see what else is already cut out. Oh, this is cute. Oh, that's really cute. And this is how I remember her. in her play outfit from Mickey Mouse Club. I love the Mickey Mouse Club because she's got some really, I'd wear this dress now. Look at this dress. That's pretty. I like the Mickey Mouse Club because it just depicted kind of teenage group dynamics in a very saccharine type setting of everything always works out. But I liked it. So, that's it. Some of my memories from my perfect era. And there's no such thing as perfection, except for what it was. It was perfect how it was. And everything in life has blemishes to some degree or another. Just, that's something to remember, you know. Be graceful with yourself. Be graceful with others. And just remember, if you start, if you put somebody too high on a pedestal, they will let you down if you're around them long enough. Who was it? I can't remember. There's some saying, too, about, staying quiet and what was that saying? I'm going to look it up. My son is really good at some of these sayings. Here it is. Here it is. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. So, there you have that. Just remember, we're all fools sometimes. There is no one, movie stars and big shots have more than us. They may have cleaner houses, bigger houses, all that stuff. But they themselves, they're just human beings. So, okay. So I have perfectly coiffed flatsy dolls. So tell me about the toys from your best era. And what was your best era and why? And we all have different reasons. I remember my parents we never went to Disneyland. We didn't do theme parks. We didn't do any of that. And sometimes I would, a friend of mine would go to Disneyland, drive down to LA and do that. And I was so like, I want to go to Disneyland. What we did is we went camping. That was our big thing. We went camping a lot. And we went to Mendocino, California. My dad was a great abalone diver. And so whenever the season opened, we would go up and camp, and he would get the limits for everybody because it was a hard thing to do. You couldn't use tanks. You had to go down with your breath and pry the abalone off the rocks 20, 30 feet below the rough Pacific Ocean. And if any of you know about Mendocino and abalone, let me know. Back in those days, the limit was 6 or 7. Now, I don't even know what it is, but it's not that much. But that was our big outing, was going camping all the time. Stocking up our freezer with abalone. So I'm going to sign out before my battery dies. And thank you for being here with me. And I appreciate you. And know that I am just a real, flawed individual like everybody else. Maybe more so. But that's okay. I'm perfectly fine with that, as you should be about yourself. Take care, my friends. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Thumbnail.